Hello, my name is Dr. Maya Byfield. My business is The Phenomenal STEMist. I'm so excited to be here in Orange County because it's where I live. I live in Apopka, Florida. And I decided to make this business because I saw a need for underrepresented students to be successful in STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, math. And the best way I can do that is just provide products for parents to prepare them, whether it's a book or online STEM camps or just video podcasting. My goal is to transform this community, especially those who are underrepresented. And the way to do that is to help parents understand their children's minds and basically develop them at different stages of their lives to be prepared for a successful STEM career. Thank you so much. That's why I'm here. Hey, 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 it's the phenomenal STEMist. What is going on, everyone? How are you? How are you doing? I got my fake glasses on because I'm with the chief accountant over here, Dulani Williams, the master, the master CPA. Listen, I do not play with my people. I have some well prepared professionals that I am talking to this last quarter of the year. We're talking about fourth quarter living, and I'm excited for the next 3 months to discuss with Delani, discuss with him about wealth management. And how are you, Delani? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me again. I really enjoy being a part of this discussion. One quick thing, I'm not a CPA, I'm a CIA, which is a little different.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Um,
What CIA? What's the CIA? What's the difference?
I'm a certified internal auditor.
Okay, okay.
Specifically work within companies versus a
Got you.
CPA is much broader and
Got
it,
you.
yeah, it's different. But I'm so happy to be here to impart what little knowledge I do have.
Good, good, good. I'm glad you clarified that. CIA, just to make sure he can't help you with your tax. He's not going to help you with your taxes,
Oh,
guys.
don't even wish.
Don't
No.
ask.
Mm-mm.
But we are going to talk about the top 3 enemies of wealth. Um one of which is taxes. Next month we'll talk about the next one next, and we'll talk about the third. So I'm give me the history. Let's talk about what is the history of taxes. Give me a quick history about the federal tax system, Dulani. Like,
The one of the
I
funniest
love it,
things
should I hate it? What? Tell me.
it's okay to hate it. So
Mhm.
the first thing I wanted to tell everyone is if you hate it, you're not the only one. The history of the federal tax system is a very painful history between the taxpayer, the US citizen, and the government. It's been a fight from day one. And to give you an interesting, but I did a little look back just to see, the timeline of events that took place during the federal development of this big monster that we have today called federal tax system. It's interesting. It did not support the building and establishment of the United States of America. Many people think that this is, we often hear death and taxes. That's those two certain things.
Certain things.
Well, it
That's
wasn't
what I
always
say
that
all the
way.
time.
It was just death. Yeah. America was actually built on the idea of freedom where you don't have to worry about the burden of tax.
I mean, wasn't that the about the Boston Tea Party? Weren't they like? Didn't
No
they throw
taxation
tea
without
on?
representation. And you don't even want me to go into that one because I wrote an article a few years back that I submitted to the Times. I think it was the Times or Fortune, something. They didn't accept it because my name wasn't big enough. But I explored that whole issue of the Boston Tea Party, and I talked about the because I juxtaposed it against what was going on today in modern times with the issues of Black people and what was really going on and how Black people are being called terrorists or all sorts of things. But that's a different topic for another day. I would love to
Mhm.
talk about that.
Take our
But
tax money and oppress us
oh,
in the process.
don't this is I hope this is a very informative and spirited discussion because this is something that we should take very seriously and it is something that many people do not take seriously. So I hope that by at least covering some of these points that people are enlightened and then they're inspired to actually pursue tax management strategies. Okay, so
I really think, especially people of color, and that's my target audience, that we have been, and I'm no Republican necessarily, but we have been duped into thinking that the tax system is extremely beneficial to us. We've been duped to feel like, yes, taxes, raise the taxes so that you can help up people like us. And if you think about the amount of money that is going to middle America, I want you to before I get it, I'm going to get what I want to say out because I'm going to let you have the floor. But think about where most Black people live, Dulani. We live in LA. We live in Chicago. We live in New
mhm,
York. We live in we live in highly
high
taxed
taxed.
inner cities. And all of the money is leaving us and going to rural America, middle America, where
Oh, someone.
majority people live the longest and the poorest do not look like us.
Oh, you're preaching today.
Okay.
Oh,
We gotta learn how this
oh,
tax system works because the money is leaving us and going to the people that have flags flying
Maya,
in. Okay,
my,
okay,
you have never lied. At least
all
not
right,
about this.
all right,
You're right. You're right. You're right. But get it out.
all right.
Yes.
That's all I have to
Yes.
say.
We
That's
have to
all I
get
have to
this
say
up. No.
so
Bec-
far.
But that's the energy. That's the energy because when you look at this whole system, for
Hmm.
one, it started in 1862
Okay.
from President Lincoln. And the purpose primarily was to raise revenue to help fund the Civil
The
War.
war. The war. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the way that they had to break into this was really small. They only taxed 3% on anyone that was earning income between $600 and $10,000. And then there was a larger tax that was imposed on individuals making more than 10,000,
Mhm.
and that was 5%.
Mhm.
So they knew they couldn't bite off more than they could chew,
Right.
and they
Right.
knew they had to be very careful.
Yeah. So
So
they
that
took
was
us.
that.
They started small. Oh, just a little bit.
Uh,
Oh,
they
just a
really
little
did.
bit. Mhm.
They did, and for the most part, that's how everything works with government.
Mhm.
They just ease their way into it, and they slowly get bigger and bigger till it's this big machine.
Mhm.
Well, they did that in 1862, and the people were never happy. In fact, by 1872, income tax was repealed. They said no more. They said, this is
Wow.
not the life, and they repealed it.
Hmm.
It was only when war started to loom again that they decided to bring back the income tax.
When was that?
And that was 1913, the threat of war. So the
Wait,
president,
taxes? You mean taxes only started in 1913? Like not? It didn't
I'm not
start in
saying
1776.
no.
Wow.
I'm saying that I'm right. It didn't start in 1776.
Mhm.
It started in like income taxing.
Originally.
the
in
taxes
62.
where they started to look into your pockets.
Yeah, yeah.
Before, so they have been trying to right size this thing since 1862. And they implement one thing, they have to repeal it years later. In 1872, they repealed it. 1913 was when another big change happened, where they they said, you know what, taxes are going to be here to stay, and we're not going to fight this anymore. We're not going to have this as a Supreme Court thing. It needs to belong in Congress. Congress needs the power. So in 1913, they established it where, all right, there's no more debate. If Congress says you pay taxes, we pay
We pay
taxes,
taxes.
and
Wow.
that's where it became codified, and every state had to sign on and agree. And this developed. This was the 16th Amendment, and there's verbiage specifically talking about what establishes the tax system. So now we start moving, and it then forms in 1918 to a more progressive tax rate, starting to see the beginnings of what we experience today, which is a progressive tax system, where the more you make, the more you pay.
Mhm.
And let's be honest, many people have a lot to say about rich people. Rich people are the enemy. I don't necessarily believe that. I feel that the burden falls primarily on the middle class,
Yeah,
but rich people pay
a
taxes as
lot,
well.
a
They
lot of
do.
taxes.
But
Mhm.
where they have cover is their risk takers, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
That is what we're going to is understanding why. See, because we can say that rich people pay no taxes, but there's a why to it. And just like everything that I know you teach across all areas of academia, people have to understand the why. You cannot just say rich people don't pay taxes. Well, you missed the boat. It's
Yeah.
why they don't pay taxes.
Right.
Because basketball players pay the most taxes. Why do
Hmm.
they pay the most taxes?
It's all
Because
income,
it's
payroll,
all nailed it. You nailed it. You
payroll.
have to, but you're on that payroll. When you are not out there building it, you are paying it.
That is
So,
critical. We got to stop there for a second.
mhm,
It's not about rich people paying taxes. It's about people or not paying taxes. It's about people on the payroll. If you get $1 million in a payroll, like somebody pays you, you're gonna have to pay half of that. $500,000 got to go to the tax man. But if you
facts.
get $1 million out of an investment income or other types of income, which we'll talk about it, that same $1 million is 10%, 15% of it
Yeah.
goes to taxes.
And
So it's about the payroll.
it is. You don't want to generate income. And there are different types of income. There's passive income and there's active income, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And the income that comes from most people's work, that's that's your ordinary income, and that's what you have to pay the highest amount of
The
taxes on.
highest amount of taxes.
Capital gains tax is an income, but it's specifically you're putting money into a vehicle, an asset. The asset doesn't get taxed. The income generated from the asset gets taxed, and there you have it.
Unless
So
you put it in a
so
tax-free vehicle.
which they do have a few of them, and it's
Mhm.
only a few,
Yeah.
which is another thing we're going to talk about.
Okay, okay,
The
okay.
opportunities that don't exist. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's going to be a bit sobering, but
Yeah.
this is important. So as we go down the timeline, Roosevelt kicks in. He becomes the president in 1942 and establishes uh, more taxes on. He create That's where they start establishing loopholes, opportunities to decrease the amount of taxes you owe. And these are called deductions, and they are primarily through medical and investment expenses. So Congress saw this burden that they were putting on the taxpayer, and they decided to
Help them out.
incentivize, right, as different needs come into existence for the government or from citizens in general, as ways to fund it and address certain needs, they create loopholes. Now, it sounds terrible when it's politicized and it's and one group is trying to talk about one versus the other. But let's not ignore that these loopholes that were given to Axon did help establish contracts that support us getting gas in our cars today. Whether you understand it, that's on you. But
because they're able to able to take money and reinvest in their company rather than just give it to the tax man. They can take that money, reinvest into their company, and make better products. That's what you're saying, right?
right, because the government loves to call themselves your best partner. And what they do
Hmm.
is they partner with you. They
Hmm.
say, all right, we have a need. We need our citizens to have gas, and we have demands for gas. And then the gas company says, we can provide it, but we make more money selling gas this way. And then the government says, well, we need gas sent this way. Okay, well, give us a break. Done.
Hmm.
And that's
Hmm.
how it works. That really is how it works. And that's just me really skinnying it up,
Yeah, skinny
but
up.
that's the theory behind it. And so you can see that the government actually uses the tax system as a way to incentivize, to exercise control over citizens, and to kind of like move the economy, well, not the economy, but address government needs because it's taxpayer revenue that they receive that funds the government. And we understand that. But one thing that has always remained true, it was really to fund wars. It's really to build army for security. And if you look at Republicans and Democrats today, they still follow their lines
Yeah.
way back from the 1800s. If,
Mhm.
if, if you speak to the average Republican, they want to address security.
Mhm.
That's the primary focus. They want a military. That's how they
Mhm.
talk. They don't want social services.
A
But when you
strong
look at
military.
yeah, and when you look at Democrats, they look at social services. That's because that was their bread and butter. That's what got them into office back in that day.
Mhm.
So they have really towed the line. And I have to say, if there's one thing they've been consistent at, it's towing their line. It's only recently, I guess, with some of the new types of Republicans who just want to set everything on fire, that
It's
they
like
forgot their
I don't
purpose.
want nothing. Let's
They don't want
break this
anything.
thing
They
down.
they they just want to
They
burn,
burn. They
mercy.
take Reagan's comment about government doesn't solve problems. Government is the problem. They take it literally. They're trying to
Oh,
destroy government. It's crazy what's going on
which
right
is
now.
crazy, which is completely ironic because it was under Reagan where you saw the biggest advancement in the tax structure and the tax burden, how it matured in our modern day. Reagan did
Mhm.
that. And
Mhm.
that's no secret. It's actually, you could go to the IRS website and see which president, under which president, what happened.
Oh wow.
and and he was very effective. So
Okay. So I mean, go ahead. Go ahead. Say what you're saying.
so I'm just saying I don't necessarily trust the politicizing of government tax. Government is government. They have their
Period.
needs that need to be addressed.
Mhm.
And as individual taxpayers, we have to understand the platform of who we're electing and then understand it will move in that direction. When Republicans in power, you're going to see more military spending, right?
Mhm.
That's just how it goes. When
Mhm.
Democrats are in power, you see more focus on healthcare, social
Mhm.
services. And to be quite honest with you, it's your right as a citizen to want whatever one. I'm
Yeah.
not.
What's
uh,
important to you?
What's important to you? If you want a
Especially since
big
you're getting
army,
taxes.
and that's where I think it's important to discuss the moral part of taxes,
Mhm.
right? Uh,
Mhm.
but
Hold on,
but
hold on. Before we start talking about the morality of taxes,
okay.
I tell me a little bit about the structure that is now. So back in the days, they had multiple ways of taxing.
Mhm.
I remember I'm heard that it's and they taxed a lot. They taxed 70%, 80, 90% of people's income back in the days. And
Up to
then
77% at one point.
can you imagine like only having 30% back in your pocket? Now that's not the case. Now it's, 25, 50%. You said Reagan changed that structure, and then Trump came in and really changed it. So what is the current tax situation now in terms of how where money is?
I say when we look at the current tax structure, we're asking the question of where are taxes going? Okay,
Oh, okay, okay. So,
where
so like
does
the like you said, the military versus social services, stuff like that. Okay, okay, okay.
and this is important because people really have to understand where their dollar is going, what they're supporting.
What they're supporting
And
with the tax dollars.
I
Yeah.
I went online to see what how this thing is definitely structured. And from a percentage point, the three largest areas where taxes are paid, one is health insurance. 24% of your dollar, your taxpayer dollar goes towards health insurance. So if you pay $20,000 in taxes, you do the math. 24% of that 20,000 goes to health insurance.
Wow.
Another
At
21%
four
goes to
thousand
social.
dollars, around $4,000 go. Okay, go ahead.
Another 21% goes toward Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
Social Security is an insurance. So at
Mm-hmm.
least we're in. So you could pretty much say 45% of everything goes towards insurance related risk. Okay. So the
I want to say
government,
this. I want to say this again. Black man who lives in New York City, who's making $90,000 a year,
yeah,
right? You pay the highest taxes because of the amount of money you make. You
yes,
you are getting paid $90,000 a year in New York, while somebody like you in Mississippi is getting paid $30,000, $50,000. You are paying more taxes on your $90,000 for the same job that somebody is paying for lower taxes. I mean lower pay, right? But you and yours are dying at 64, 65. That's your I want you to think about the death rate of African American men. You're dying early. You're dying before you can even get social security.
mm. Can you imagine?
You're paying taxes on it for something that you can't benefit from. But you know who benefits from somebody in Mississippi,
The
somebody's
red
mama
states.
in Mississippi who's living to 90 years old is getting all that taxes.
The math just isn't mathing.
The math ain't
And
mathing.
let's be honest, it's not mathing. If you live in very expensive areas in the US, ask yourself why. And I hope your why is worth it.
It's
I
worth it.
live in I live in Arizona. I used to live in Texas. I ran to the red states, not because I hate hearing the rhetoric, but to be quite honest with you, you hear it everywhere. I heard it just as
Exactly.
strong in New York. Heard it in New Jersey, Connecticut. It's
It's
an
just
act.
it's just undercover. They taking your money on top of it. In New
Oh,
York,
they
the police
pillage.
brutality is higher in LA and in New York than it is in the red states. And they're
You,
taking your money on top of it. Ask your
yeah,
question yourself why, guys. I'm telling you.
and the building and developing. So the other problem is a lot of these more legacy states that have rich establishment from the 1800s. Guess what? They have buildings that are from the 1800s. Nobody, they have protections and interests that go across all areas of the community. It is impossible to do anything there that's truly effective. So what do you see? You see big business moving to these other red states because they are incentivized to do so. So where are all the new jobs coming? They're coming in Arizona, Texas, Florida, all those places. And Florida, Florida, however, is dealing with an issue with DeSantis. That's a hot mess. Uh, that's an outlier, but
Lord help us. Lord help
yeah.
us.
But
They're still
theoretically,
moving. They're still moving here.
but in 2023, honestly, we really do have to ask ourselves: Are we protected now by being on the coasts? We're not. We're not protected anymore. So just ask yourself why.
Ask yourself
Ask
why.
why and see if that's the best answer. But back to the budget, as I said 45% of it goes towards insurance. But then the next
Mm,
big boy, and it's a big boy, it's a big boy, is defense.
right.
Defense is 13%.
Mm,
And that is a lot of money. We're talking trillions of dollars that go
mm.
between the top three. So that's a lot of money that the government has dedicated towards sick people, retirement of old people. And I like your point about Black people and the survival rate because it means Black people have less money that they get over the course of their life.
We do.
So it doesn't even come back to your pocket, it's gone.
It's not coming
And
back to us, guys. It's not.
it's not.
And
And
they're
then on,
taking more from us in
mhm,
these highly income, high payroll places. We're going to talk about lowering this payroll. Go ahead.
yeah. And the third, I mean, the fourth one is, and this is sobering right here. The fourth largest item is interest on debt because the United States has debt. And
Hmm.
10%, can you imagine 10% of all the collections goes towards paying
Interest.
interest on treasury bonds, all the different notes that are out there circulating that people buy. You have to pay in installments, and that expense gets covered, the debt service cost. So
So wait, it's
the
not coming back to us, Dulani. We
oh no,
we
it's
we
gone.
keep thinking that, oh, pay taxes because it's gonna help poor people, help us. It does not.
Oh, the smallest ones where it might help us is education, which only has 4%. So I want you to put all this in perspective. 4% education, transportation, 2%,
Wow.
natural resources and agriculture, 1%, science and medical research, 1%.
Wow.
Law enforcement, which I think is very controversial because law enforcement gets addressed also locally and through
Hmm.
states for its own different controversial reasons, that gets 1%.
Mm.
And then you have international and all other that make up 5%. So the only things that can possibly have real meaning to you only reaches is 4, 6, 7, 8% of the entire budget you can truly feel or it's
Wow.
beneficial.
Most of it is going to things that we're a lot of the times maybe not even in agreement with. We have look what's going on in the world today. We're talking about the morality of taxes. Look what's
Yes,
going on in the world
yes.
today. I do not support what's going on in the world today. And my tax dollars, majority, 20% of my tax dollars are going to support things that I'm against.
Yep.
Guys, think about this.
Seriously.
And then
Really
they
think
keep
about it.
saying, "Oh, you're going to raise taxes," da, 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 but it's definitely not to really benefit us. It's really to probably explode the same percentages. That does not really benefit us.
Hmm.
Wow, this is powerful.
And
But
when
they
you
make
look
it seem
at,
that it does.
oh yeah, and when they do go, when Congress debates on the floor, reducing money going into social programs, they're trying to reduce 1%. The 1% that they just
Wow.
don't like it. Can
The
you
little that we
imagine
get. The
not even
little that
giving
we
up?
get.
Yeah, they're not even giving, have 1%. You know what? I'm gonna be generous. Have 2%. They don't even want to give two. They
Mm.
say no. It's going to go, we're funding 13% to our military. And I don't, I was in the army at one point, and not in the US, another country, my country, Bermuda. I do appreciate defense and I see the importance and the role that it plays. But when 13 trumps one, we have a problem. We're
Yeah.
not right sized. And that's the
It's
moral
imbalanced.
that imbalance is a moral issue. And I
It
think we
is.
have to ask ourselves as individuals, as many of you are Christians, many of you are Muslims, whatever faith you follow, ask yourself, is this right?
It's
Is
not
this
right.
right? I personally don't believe it is. And as a result of that, I do everything in my power to pay as little taxes as I can. because it's not right size. I'm not proud to pay taxes.
Love it.
Now, if you're a person who believes in strong military, who loves the idea of social programs, then you're paying into the right system. Absolutely. And I applaud you because guess what? You did your homework and you came to your conclusion. The issue that I have is that people don't understand what this
Where their money's
breakdown
going.
is and where
They
the
don't know where their
money's
money.
going.
Yeah.
And as a result of it, where they probably should put some effort, they don't. And we become very laid back and have a very laissez-faire approach to government spending. And that's a
Yeah.
problem. And I understand it's generational problems. It really started from the mistrust of government in the first place. We never trusted it. We never wanted a relationship like that. And as a result of it, we stay ignorant. But it's 2023, folks. The data are there. We should take a look at it. We should educate ourselves on where our taxpayer dollars are going, and we should hold our congressmen and women to the wicket and make sure that they're at least hearing us out. Because your money, like death and taxes, you're gonna have to pay it. But you know what? Pay it with a voice now.
Yeah.
Don't pay it
And
and just be like, I'm done.
try not to, and do whatever it takes to take money out of their pocket, especially if you feel that they're doing really corrupt things, and do
Yes,
things with the money
please.
yourself, right? So let me ask you a question. Why is it important to have a firm handle on our tax? So you're saying it's very important. Like what what are some, first of all, what are some, why is it important, and what are some ways that we can have a firm handle on our taxes? You gave me an article that talks about 22 legal secrets to reducing taxes. We got to reduce our taxes, y'all, because taxes aren't benefiting us. It's not.
It really isn't. And the reality is, every dollar you don't pay in taxes is a dollar technically you save.
Save for yourself, and you can use to empower your community. You could use that same money that's not going to our community. You can use it to our community. Very critical.
Yes.
Critical.
And I believe that in this building of our tax strategy, of our personal tax strategy, we have to change. We have to change who we are. And
Hmm.
and when I say change who we are, take out the human and become the entity. We need to
Ah,
become our own enterprise because if you look at where the greatest opportunities lie in being able to optimize
lower your
your
taxes.
tax payments, is if you operate as a business, if you have businesses, if you have these tax shelters that allow you to benefit, to turn a normal expense into a write-off. That's the whole conversion. That not only it I have to give the government credit. They said, all right, we know how much you hate this, so we're going to throw you a bone. But it's going to be a very specific type of bone. It's a bone that's only going to be for the benefit of people who are risk takers, who
That's
say,
right.
I am going to turn me into a service. And I'll tell you this, there's a lot of it is biblical. If you're Christian, or even if you're from another faith, a lot of faiths speak to service, being growing your community, being a pillar. You know what? If you start a business that's meeting a need, the government is going to be call you a partner. Yes, yes, that exactly. Your business
I'm no
is,
longer just Dr. Maya Byfield. I am the phenomenal STEMist. I
and
am a
there
business, y'all.
you
And let's go.
you
But
get to enjoy depreciation.
listen. When I was just Dr. Byfield, I was just getting a check from my job, my main
Mm-hmm.
job,
Mm-hmm.
and my main job got taxed heavy because the
Yeah.
more I make as Dr. Maya Byfield, when I was just Maya Byfield, I wasn't getting taxed that much. But as soon as I came Dr. Maya Byfield and my income started
Ooh,
going up high,
cha-ching.
the man started coming for me hard. But
Yeah.
when I became not just Dr. Maya Byfield, but the phenomenal STEMist, I am no longer just getting paid through payroll now, guys. I am a business. I have a house that I use an office in. That's my business that I write off the office in my house. I write off all the utilities in my house. I write off every expense that I use from my
Mhm.
house, a piece of it as associated with the size of my office. I could not do that when I was just Dr. Maya Byfield. I can do that as the phenomenal STEMist. I want y'all to understand. You got everybody out here, black people. It's time for us to stop trying to just get high paychecks, which is high taxes. We got to
Right.
have businesses.
You know what? Scrap that article. Scrap the article.
Okay.
Because what you said is the most important thing. Honestly, we could talk about all the tax opportunities legally for uh, health savings accounts, FSA, all that boring stuff. But the reality is, we need to change our mindset. We really do need to evolve into enterprise. That is our greatest strength. If there's a need, we need to become the people who answer and meet that need. And when you do it, you can do it through incorporating. You can do it through establishing a business. You don't have to do it out of your own pocket. The government doesn't even want you to do that. They said, here's your phone, take it.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a need in your community, fill it. If
Mm-hmm.
people need sandwiches, sell some sandwiches. And what you don't sell, donate. You can write that off too.
Right off the charity. Right.
But we have to,
A lot of people give charity to their churches, and because they give charity, they don't even understand the concept of charitable giving
Mhm.
according to their taxes. They think that if they write off their taxes, they are robbing God because
you know,
it's not that's all. It's not saying that you're going to get the tithe money back, guys. What it's saying is it lowers your percentage by giving charity to somebody. You tell the government that you gave a certain amount of charity to somebody. They'll say, okay, we won't charge you 50% taxes anymore. We'll charge you 40%. You're not getting the tithe money back. You're just lowering your tax. This is you can't be ignorant anymore because that
it
same
is ignorant.
money.
It is ignorant. Uh, I hate to say it, and I don't like to name call or make people feel bad, but if that's what you're doing, do better.
Do better.
It
Do
absolutely makes
better.
no sense. You're not getting an extra star in your crown for eating it. It's just not going to happen.
You're not.
Let's do better, good people. Let's do better. Let's be
Let's
best.
let's Dr. B Best is my Dr. B Best is my email. Listen. So okay, so I love what you said. It's like we have to be business enterprises. We got to change our mindset because
Yes,
it's when we own a business that you could get the most write offs,
yes.
right? When you take risks in the stock market.
Hmm.
Let's talk about the different risks that we could take. You take risks in the stock market,
Hmm.
the gains that you get, the income that you get from that, they're taxed the least, capital gains tax.
Yes,
When you have rental properties, you write off all of that, right? What are some
yes.
other things?
And then the nice thing about property is that you can also exercise depreciation. And
Um,
depreciation can be used upfront, where your initial purchase, you can write off all the depreciation. Some people do that. That requires some a real
accounting.
good CPA
You need
who's
an accountant
gonna
for that.
hold your hand through that because it's a little tricky. But again, y'all, we have to do things differently. We cannot stay in the same. If you're doing the things that you've done for the past 12 years, you have not evolved. Don't think that you're the bastion of consistency and you win. You're not winning.
Not winning. You're
We
losing.
have to evolve, grow, learn these strategies. It doesn't take long. You know what? You could go on YouTube and say, what can I do? I have And let's, you know, mind, let's start from, let's give people, the good people, a starting point
Okay.
as a measurement stick. Who actually should look for these different things? Okay, if you fill out a 1099 easy, you played yourself.
Played yourself.
If all you need to do for tax season is fill out a 1099 easy, you have lost the race.
That's a lot of us. I got a schedule C. I got a schedule
If you
C.
got a schedule C, if you got an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you're winning. I don't even know if
but
it goes like that, but it's true because your money
yeah.
is being used. You're taking risk. You're all that requires business investment, capital investment, moving money that's that would sit there and just do nothing. You're now putting it into vehicles that allow you to claim write-offs. The only reason why you have these other schedules is so you could include your write-offs. You put down your revenue and your expenses. The difference, you see?
Yep.
It's just so important. So if you're one of the good people, one of the many good people who only fill out a 1099 easy, I encourage you to start today. Look for
Mhm.
opportunities.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Please take it personal. Be offended.
Yeah, sorry. Get offended, y'all.
Be offended.
If all you're doing is a 1099 easy, now it's free. Now you don't even have to do this.
Well, that's why it's free because they're thanking you. you
They're like,
you
"Thank you.
overpaid. Huh?
You paid a lot of taxes." And people are so happy. It's like, "Ah, I got a tax refund. Yay." I'm like, "Yo, do you understand that you gave Uncle Sam too much money interest free? You gave Uncle Sam too much money
Yes.
interest free. Meanwhile,
Interest-free
you
loans
paying
to the
the banks
government.
you're paying the banks interest on your
Hmm.
credit card. You paying
Yeah.
them 10, 20% interest while you loaned Uncle Sam thousands of dollars that you didn't even have to give him. And now he's
Yep.
taking it and putting in that $105 billion to go over and kill people in Palestine. I'm sorry. But
Exactly.
I had to put
But
there.
that's the truth. That is the reality. That is what you're doing. You're funding the things you don't even believe in, and you're removing yourself from the equation, giving yourself the best chance to win.
Come on,
It
y'all.
just doesn't make sense. Yo, the math ain't mathing.
It
Y'all
ain't
you
nothing
gotta calculate the stuff. And it's worth the effort because as I said, every dollar you don't pay is a dollar you save
for yourself.
for
For
yourself.
yourself. My
And
mother said, why do they charge a retiree like herself taxes? Cause
yeah,
you have income.
it's income.
There's income.
And that's
So
really the answer. It's income. It's defined as income. Your goal in life is to not generate income.
it's not to it's not to
Income's
generate
your
income
worst.
that involves a paid man paying you. Your
Yeah,
goal is to generate investment. You get rental properties. You have let's think of some tax-free vehicles. The Roth IRA is a tax-free vehicle, but it's only
yes.
available to people who have a certain amount of money. That's one. You have municipal bonds. You put money in municipal bonds,
Hmm.
tax-free, right?
Municipal bonds is a win. And the funny thing about it is it's a hidden win
Yeah.
because you don't win because the number just screams at you 8% return. No, it's actually a combination. It's the yield. It's both the small interest that you earn and the tax break you receive. The
Right. The
sum of those, right, the fact that you're not paying a tax on what you earn is a dollar earned.
That's it's powerful at what you guys. I want you to understand this. That's why I'm not even a fan that much about 401ks because you pay taxes on the 401ks. The Roth IRAs, it grows tax free, and then when you take it out, you pay no taxes on it. And I really believe because of all these entitlements, we're going through two wars now that we're
Yeah.
funding. They are going to increase taxes again. So you're going to be paying way more taxes when you're retired than you were paying when you were younger. You don't want to be getting all your money in your retirement and paying taxes on it. So put it in municipal bonds, put it in a Roth IRA, put it in a
Mhm.
like the HSA account, health savings account. That's tax free.
Triple tax.
Triple.
That baby right there is triple tax. It
Yeah.
reduces the income that you earn.
Now,
Yep. And as it grows, it does not get taxed. And when
oh,
it gets withdrawn, there's no hit either.
it's one of the few that does that. Roth IRA don't even do that.
It's a little nuanced, however, because your expenses have to be,
Just
uh,
for health.
it has to justify. But guess what? When you're older, all you're going to have is health expenses. It's
Right.
funny. And the way that things are going nowadays with technology in healthcare, a lot of the things that never qualified before, Congress is looking at it. They're saying,
Hmm.
okay, what additional things can we add to these programs? And sadly, this triple tax benefit really does benefit high earners more,
Right.
simply because
We could put more
they,
in.
right, they put more in. Because they
Hmm.
put more in, they get more out. Now,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that you don't get to participate. It just means that, um, again, the rich people, rich people get a little more. And
But
as
you gotta also think about what I feel like. I feel like we make a lot of money. We just waste a lot of money.
yes,
If we prioritize $6,000 a year for the Roth, and it's about, I think I increase it to 3,500 now for
yeah,
the HSA. If you prioritize, you say, okay, I'm going to give $600 a month to this. I'm going to cut down my lifestyle. I'm not
hmm
going to buy a brand new car that costs six. We got we got people paying $600 a month for their car note.
you
Delani,
know,
we got people paying $600 a month for the car note. We do. So we have money. We just don't have priority because we don't think taxes are important. But taxes are important, guys.
hmm they're
Putting your money in tax sheltered vehicles in which the government cannot take it is important.
most
It's
definitely.
the enemy to your wealth. Taxes are the enemy to the wealth. Go ahead. I'm
It
sorry.
really is. It really is. For every dollar that you earn, you have to pay. You're obligated to pay the government a portion of it. So your goal is to pay them as little as you can.
That's
And
right.
if you don't know that you're doing it, just assume that. I mean, if you don't know for a fact that you are optimizing your tax advantage, then you just have to bake in the assumption that you are not.
Right.
Because everything, unfortunately, everything that comes in the tax universe to give you savings requires work. It requires planning. It
Yep.
requires looking at things. So you're actually going to have to put in work on the front end to
Yep.
give yourself the benefit in the back end. So if you
Abs-
didn't put in any work, just bake in the safe assumption that you have not
You won't
optimized
pay.
and you're
Right.
not winning and that you are the government's best friend.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Everybody needs a best friend. I just already have mine and I have no interest.
I'm cool with my BFFs.
I'm good.
I don't know if any of them are watching, but I love y'all. I don't need the, I don't no new friends. No
No
new
new friends.
no
Government can keep on moving, right? Keep on moving.
Oh
And
my
that's
gosh.
but people don't rob yourselves because you're being lazy. And that's the biggest problem with tax. Tax makes us lazy because all we look at it as is a burden. And that's because we don't have knowledge. That was primary. When we understand what this game is all about, it gives you the opportunity to play it differently.
Yeah.
So learn the
Learn
game.
it. Learn the game, guys.
Dedicate some time. Speak to people. Talk to Maya. Shoot her a little quick. Hey, what are you doing? What did you mean about HSA? She'll just send you a link, and there you
Yeah.
go.
Shout out to
Right?
Phenomenal Financial Freedom.
Yeah,
We didn't talk in great detail of the 22 ways to lower your taxes, but I put the link in Phenomenal Financial
yes,
Freedom. That would be a basic discovery for you.
it
Learn the
is.
game. Learn
And
the game,
that's
guys.
but the honestly, the most important thing you can do is be your own boss. You have to give yourself that opportunity. If you make delicious cookies, then sell cookies.
Hmm.
Sell some cookies just to break even so you can enjoy the deductions that can spill over into the other avenues of your life.
That's
right?
right.
Because guess what? Before you started baking cookies and called yourself the best cookie maker in the world, you were paying all of the
All
costs for your home,
all the costs for your home.
100%.
A
But
hundred
at least
percent.
now you can make some delicious cookies, put a smile on someone's face, donate some cookies, and then all of this expense, that expense, and now just because you did a little, you brought smiles to people's faces with your sugary goodness, right? Now all of a sudden you're reaping financial reward. And
Right.
it's through the back end, which makes you even smarter because guess what? You didn't even increase your income. All
That's
right.
right.
So now that is true
Hmm.
optimization of your wealth. And
I want to talk about that, and we're going to close the
okay.
math concept. I want to people see this vividly. I've talked to people before. Those of you who watch Phenomenal Financial Freedom, I've already talked about this, but I want to say this again. If I get paid $50,000 a year, I'm paying taxes first on the $50,000. I'm paying, let's say, 20% taxes, 25% taxes on that. What does that mean? 10% of that's the math, y'all. 10% of 50,000 is $5,000. That means 20% is $10,000. Add another 2,500. Out of the $50,000 that you got paid, you're paying $12,000 500 to Uncle Sam to people in Middle America, Ukraine, and Palestine. Right?
Hmm.
Okay, you get that same $50,000, right?
Hmm.
You get that same $50,000 in a business, and you write you pay your expenses for driving, you pay your expenses for whatever you pay your expenses. Let's say you have $20,000 of expenses. You don't pay taxes on the $50,000, y'all. You remove the $20,000 of expenses, and now you tell Uncle Sam, I really didn't get paid $50,000. I got paid $30,000. I got paid $20,000.
Hmm.
Same 50 grand, guys, but I'm getting taxed as somebody in poverty. 25
I love how you put it.
$20,000.
It's true.
$20,000 is poverty. I'm getting taxed as someone in poverty versus the person who gets paid 50,000 is getting taxed as if they're wealthy. That's what you talk about, front and back end,
Hmm.
right? And on top of that, I can write off this and write off that and write
Yes.
off this. My tax rates is actually less when I tell Uncle Sam I make less income.
Yes.
And you can
That's it.
only do that. You can only do that if you have an business.
Right. And well, that is where you can recoup the most.
Mhm.
There are other ways in which you can that
Mhm.
also benefits you, such
Mhm.
as buying a life insurance policy.
Mhm.
Y'all sleeping on life insurance, don't there are benefits to that. And it's all built in to when you're older and when you can borrow against it, take out some of that cash surrender value. Yes, you reduce the death benefit, but who cares?
Mhm.
This is a gift you give yourself. Never pay that policy back, right? Put yourself, borrow from yourself, not
Mhm.
pay it back, keep the policy in force. It's an equation. There's some balancing, right? There's some mathematics that you have to do in it, but you can stay ahead. And guess what? You can help fund your child's education. You can fund a business idea that you might have. You can even help just pay some everyday costs that might have built up over the time. A lot of people get sick, in your later years. You can even help pay reduce some of the costs of healthcare. So there are many different ways, but we have to look at it. And one of the tricks, one of the things that I do every year, and I encourage everyone to do is this. I it's crazy, but it works. After I settle my bill with Uncle Sam, and typically I'll tell you this, I normally have to write a big check, and
Oh, but thank you for the interest-free loan.
I normally have to write a check. But if I don't write a check, I look at that as well. But but ultimately, I look at how much my household paid in taxes this year.
Mm.
And then I say to myself, can I find
A way.
areas, spots where I can save more and pay less next year?
Mm.
I do that. I highlight things that I am not doing today that I can't do tomorrow. Is there another business opportunity that I can look into establishing just so I can take losses? And there's this thing called tax harvesting. Believe it or not, that is something that people do where they take their losses from investments and they offset it with their gains. And it works. You know why? Because you're building business foundation. And as you already know, businesses grow not immediately. Day one, you don't hit the ground running with success. You're front loaded with expenses. So the nice thing about harvesting that debt is that, I mean, that those losses is
Losses.
that
You
you
can
can
lower your you
offset
can
it.
lower your income.
You can lower your income. And
Hmm.
by doing that math, you win even when you lose. People, we have to become an enterprise. That is the number one thing that we have to focus on. Be your own boss. Now, granted, if you have a beautiful, great 9 to 5 that makes you a lot of money, keep it.
Keep it.
The math is mathing, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that your day ends when you come home. Dedicate a weekend or two to build a business, to invest in
Right.
something where you
Right.
can call yourself the chief, the boss. And
Right.
then from there, see where it can take you. I have an Airbnb in Texas. Right now, I'm losing money on the Airbnb, but it's offsetting gains in the other areas. And that's
And
what
it
it was
lowers
for
your
in the first
income.
place. I did not care. I do care. I always want to make profits, but at the same time, I want to right size things as well. And I'll take the hit if I know at the end of the day I'm winning the game. Take the hit to win the
Win the
game.
game. That's
And
powerful.
and but you just have to know what's acceptable, what isn't. And that's where the planning takes place. That's where you and your family, your household has to have these meetings and talk finances and learn together and pray about these things, these
Yeah.
opportunities.
And yet, guys, you're not stealing from Uncle Sam. You're not lying on your taxes.
Oh
The
yes.
reality is that you just don't want to do the work. But
Yeah.
but but the truth is that in order for us to be successful
Mhm.
and to really impact our families and our communities by increasing wealth, we have got to do the work. Know your taxes
Yes.
and know and investigate ways of paying the least. Guys, it's been so awesome. I don't want to go more than an hour, but this has been a power hour. Power hour with Dulani. We're gonna basically talk about the top 3 enemies of wealth for for the remainder of the year. Today was taxes. Next, stay tuned for next month. We got 2 more. Stay
Yeah.
tuned for next month. All right. Good night, everybody.
Take care, everyone. Have a
All right.
great, great week.